Like ogres and onions and parfaits too, many of the best anime have layers. Beneath neat high concepts, strong characters, and fun action scenes lie hidden depths, themes, and messages for dedicated viewers to uncover and decipher through careful consideration of a show's constituent parts. That might sound intimidating, boring, or pretentious depending on your tastes, but therein lies the brilliant trick that makes these layered shows so good. Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, Neon Genesis Evangelion, One Punch Man. These anime are all eminently accessible. They speak to a primal part of our brain that wants to see cool people doing cool things and making cool explosions happen in the process. A part of our brain that wants to imagine and escape to worlds of possibility beyond our own. They make a concerted effort to be fun, first and foremost, but beyond that, if you care to look, you'll find that each is about something more. Fullmetal Alchemist is a cool shonen action thing about a steampunk cyborg wizard who kicks the shit out of other wizards and monsters and stuff. It's also an exploration of how wallowing in grief and refusing to accept loss can cost us everything that we still have. It's also a pointed cautionary tale about how those in power will maintain it by consuming the lives of those beneath them until nothing is left. Some shows make their intent more obvious than others. Evangelion is famously an exploration of how Hideaki Anno used his otaku obsessions to both fight and feed his depression. The last 2 episodes of the anime practically shout that message at you as the cool robot shit fades away to be replaced with Shinji's negative self-talk variety hour, but there's still deeper layers to be found even under that. Pay attention to those last 2 episodes in the movie, and you'll see Anno's whole mental landscape laid bare through animated symbolism and other means. But you'll also see some of the coolest big fucking robot fights ever put to film. Layered narratives allow these shows to entertain laymen, anime analysts, and everyone in between and beyond, and No Gun's Life is a brilliant example of that approach in action. Glorious, high-octane, balls-to-the-wall action. As I said in my fall anime rundown, No Gun's Life is an anime about a man with a gun for a head, explode-punching trains with his revolver fists to save kidnapped children from evil business robots and sexy cyborg assassin nuns. Zany as all that sounds, the show presents that story with utmost sincerity and not even a hint of irony. Gunhead detective man Inui Juzo is a fully realized human being with goals, values, anxieties, and flaws. He's also a hero who uses his strength to protect the weak from those who lord their power over them. No Gun's Life is an anime about a man with a gun for a head. A former soldier, or living weapon might be a better word. A man whose life was conflict and combat from day one until one day it wasn't. And he had to figure out on his own how to live for himself. A man who tries to do good by his neighbors, using his power to keep the criminals who might hurt them at bay. A man whose gruff demeanor and literal cold metal exterior belies a, metaphorically, beating heart yearning for real human connection. A man who sees a bit of himself in a young boy who's been chopped up, experimented on, mechanically augmented, and left immobile, but still ardently refuses to just be a tool. A man who thinks that maybe, with his no-bullshit brand of guidance and help, that boy could find freedom in a brighter tomorrow. He is Gundad, and I love him. The world that gave Juzo his .40 caliber cranium is likewise fully realized, a dystopian future where cybernetic enhancement is commonplace, but the transhumanist potential of the technology has given way to a dehumanizing reality. Common people fear the extended, while elites exploit them, some as slave labor, others as a captive marketplace, pressed into brand loyalty by a need for continuous maintenance, medicine, and replacement parts, with potentially incompatible black market junk from the Yakuza being the only alternative. Don't like Apple and Google owning your whole music library now? Well, what if they owned your arms, your eyes, the specific rhythm of your heartbeat? What if by taking your phone to a third-party repair shop, you risked incurring a fatal seizure as punishment? Now, what if you needed those repairs to live, but couldn't afford the real deal? By exploring these questions, No Gun's Life makes its cyberpunk world feel chillingly real. And that is the second layer. A world you can believe in, full of characters you want to learn more about, a story with a hero you really want to root for, no matter how ridiculous the odds stacked against him may be, and how ridiculous his manner of dealing with them is. None of this added narrative meat makes the show any less ridiculously fun and awesome than its premise promises it will be, but it's all there for you to enjoy if you want to become a hardcore No Gun's Life fan. And if you want to dig deeper still, there are further layers to go, greater points that the series is driving toward, with both its nakedly awesome, silly concept and the surprisingly delicate world building that supports it. No Gun's Life is an anime about a man with a gun for a head, a gun slave unit whose entire identity has been supplanted by a singular function, trapped in a capitalist nightmare world where people like him are literally things for the rich and powerful to own and use. Be that in the form of government-manufactured human weapons, corporate-owned mercenaries and servants, or for the truly unfortunate, biomechanical office equipment. A world where employees and their families, from salarymen all the way up to CEOs, are property, resources to be extracted and exploited at the corporation's sole discretion for the corporation's sole benefit, while the common man outside the company lives in illusory freedom, dependent on consumable goods that their millionaire masters can cut off in an instant should they step out of line. A world that, for all its fancy doodads and cool metal bits and bobs, feels uncomfortably familiar, because in many ways it is a logical, if somewhat exaggerated, extension of the one we live in now. On that note, the robots who get to decide whether I have a stable career or not currently aren't showing my videos to as many people as they normally do, because I got 2 copyright strikes right before going on vacation and putting up a bunch of guest videos that were going to underperform a bit even in the best circumstances. So I would greatly appreciate it if those of you who are watching could leave lots of comments, and if you're enjoying the video so far, hit the like button as well, just to get my channel back on people's feeds. Like that moment of shameless begging just now, and also basically everything else in No Gun's Life, this anti-capitalist messaging isn't particularly subtle. In just its 2nd episode, the show trots out Hugh Cunningham, a pudgy, gleefully cruel corporate crony with a fully human body that he's all too proud to own, who lords his control of the medicinal cigarette supply over Juzo, threatening him with agonizing dysfunction and a slow, painful death should he fail to comply with the Beryurin Corporation's demands, but presenting those threats under the guise of a peaceful, equitable negotiation. A fair trade on paper, a shakedown in practice, facilitated by police officers who seem at first to be stopping Juzo's vandalism for the public good, but who are in fact, like the detectives we meet in episode 1, merely enforcers of the corporate status quo. Like I said, it's not particularly subtle. It's only thanks to Juzo and his back alley mechanic Mary's forward thinking and class consciousness, their awareness of the true leverage that the corporations hold over them, that this plan is foiled. As we learn at the episode's end, Mary had the foresight to replicate the medicinal blend of the cigarettes that Juzo needs, though without their alluring flavor, likely running afoul of a few patents in the process, but giving Juzo a bitter taste of freedom by saving him from a deadly consumer dependency. If they'd followed the law, they would have been fucked, and Tetsuro would be in Hugh's hands already. It's a philosophically fascinating and prescient plot point, but presented with all the gusto and bombast we demand of our big dumb sci-fi anime. Juzo demonstrates that he cannot and will not be owned by obliterating the corporate jackboots pressed into his back in a glorious laser light show, before staring down his would-be oppressor with cool-headed, utterly badass conviction. Whether you agree with or even recognize the philosophical argument it's making, you can't deny that this moment and the entire show that contains it is above all else cool as all hell. Contrary to what you might expect, these elements of the show don't take away from its ability to deliver on those fun, visceral thrills, nor do its goofy design sensibilities and over-the-top premise dumb down its greater message. Pure entertainment and thoughtful allegory are often framed as being at odds with each other in media. That's the crux of the whole turn your brain off and have fun philosophy. But those two sides of No Gun's Life support each other, amplifying their respective effects. No Gun's Life is an anime and a manga with something to say. In order to say that effectively, it needs to dig into the meat of its individual characters, put a great deal of effort into its world building. These requirements also have the effect of making its goofy premise feel believable and serious, which only makes the surface level goofiness more entertaining for new viewers. And as you get invested in those elements, they only give you more reason to care about the outcomes of its already cool action scenes. At the same time, the just inherently fucking rad concept of a man made of guns serves as a surprisingly ingenious symbol of the dehumanizing effects of late-stage capitalism. The way that as wealth accumulates and wealth extraction strategies become more optimized and efficient, everything, and eventually everyone, becomes a product, a commodity. I say on a platform that lets me sell my opinions about anime to you while it simultaneously collects data on your tastes and viewing habits to sell to advertisers so that they can more easily sell you other things. And unlike this video format, where just making that statement probably made a lot of you uncomfortable and a few viewers, I'd wager, pretty angry, by packaging those ideas up in cool, fun action scenes and an interesting sci-fi world, No Gun's Life is able to prompt its viewers to consider them from a comfortable distance without ever feeling like they're being lectured to. Like its high-caliber hero, an efficient marriage of narrative form and function, substance within style, and vice versa. An anime about what it really means to be a man with a gun for a head. I only hope that one day I'll be able to write something halfway near as incredible as No Gun's Life, which isn't something I ever thought I'd say about the show before I watched it. But that's the other nice thing about these stories with layers. They so often come as a pleasant surprise. I'm Geoff Thew, professional shitbag, signing out from my mother's basement.